Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? Once again, my name is Kent. The Challengeeos San Diego, and I'm in Carlsbad, California. I believe it's the 17th of April. So the streets again are empty. There's nothing happening here, as in most other cities in the United States, basically completely shut down. And I heard a little bit tonight what they're talking as far as startups concern, and it's going to be another month before they do anything. So we're looking at another month of being completely shut down. No restaurants open, no schools open, no businesses open, everything just completely shut down. And then maybe after that month, maybe some rollout stuff is going to happen. Maybe some more essential businesses will start to open, and eventually everybody will get opened. But I'm feeling like it's probably going to be midsummer, late summer by the time it's fully operational, everything's up and running, and things are back to normal. So, in the meantime, what happens is trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars are manufactured and given out to people to make up that lost income, that lost revenue, and kind of to keep them going, keep them alive, because you're going to have to come up with something, because right now nothing's going on. So in that time, as the Federal Reserve increases the amount of dollars being printed, borrowed, printed, whatever you want to say, it's actually going to make Bitcoin a lot more valuable. So my call is that Bitcoin will definitely go up. My call. You do whatever you want. Obviously, I'm acting independently from anybody else, and I'm not telling anybody to do what I'm doing, but I'm definitely buying Bitcoin. And I believe Bitcoin's got a good chance of going much, much higher. There's a guy that's YouTube channel that I watch, and he's calling for Bitcoin to be 100,000 by the end of the year. I don't think he's too far off. I think we could very easily see 100,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. And the reason why, very simply, is Bitcoin is a fixed amount has a fixed amount of Bitcoin mined. And of course, with the halving, the amount that the Bitcoin miners are making is going to be less. So there's going to be less Bitcoin. So I'm calling Bitcoin, 100,000 by the end of the year, and then we will see how far up it goes from there. But I believe it's definitely going to go up, because you got to remember, Bitcoin isn't still in the stages of being tested out. Bitcoin's reliable. It's used every single day. And a lot of people around the world use it a lot more than we do in the United States. I believe the biggest problem, the obstacle to most cryptocurrencies in the United States, is most people don't understand them, and they haven't bothered to try to figure out how to use them or even how they work. I listen to economists. I listen to billionaire hedge fund managers. I listen to people in the news, the news industry. Every day, talk about this stuff, and rarely, if ever, do I hear anybody that really truly understands a cryptocurrency and can give you an intelligent information on how it works and why it's important and how it's usable every day right now as a means of exchange all over the world. But if you live in Venezuela, sorry, I can't say that very well, or if you live in a country that has a really lousy currency because it's been inflated, they know how to use it. They know how to use it. In fact, I was listening to Jim Rogers the other day, the guy who founded the Quantum Fund. He knows nothing about cryptocurrency, by the way. But anyway, he talked about in China, you can't buy anything without your phone. I mean, they're literally every transaction has to be done on as your phone, as your medium of exchange. You don't carry cash. Well, that's where we're going to here in the United States. There is no more cash. That is going to be done away with. So Bitcoin, obviously working. I hear a lot of other people saying, I think I've listened to McAfee, John McAfee, talk about how Bitcoin is not private. So since he doesn't like the non-privacy of Bitcoin, he's going to go to Monero, which is fine. I don't know how absolutely how those transactions are completely secret or not. We understand Bitcoin pretty well. We understand cryptocurrencies pretty well. In fact, we understand them so well, we launched our own cryptocurrency called the Challenge application. You can check it out. It trades on Nudex, the symbol CHL. We wrote the smart contracts. We built the application. Of course, we run it on the Amazon Web Services. The app is running on there. It's in the Google Play Store. It's in the Apple App Store. So we've run all this stuff. We've done this stuff. We've built this stuff. And we didn't. My son was the lead developer, so he's the one that wrote a lot of the smart contracts. He's the one that wrote a lot of the code for this stuff. And of course, he's my son. He tells me how he does it. He tells me what he does. The other thing is I used to be a pretty good coder myself. I don't do so much coding anymore. But I started out building websites in 1999 and 2000. We were opening up Notepad and doing HTML and uploading FTP up at the time to servers for websites. And I built a lot of websites for about 10 or 15 years. And through the process of building websites, eventually migrated over to WordPress, started using WordPress. I don't use WordPress anymore. If I build a website, I just do strictly Shopify. But I used to do a lot on WordPress. Of course, WordPress is a combination of a couple of languages that I got pretty good with. So I have a little bit of understanding. So when he explains something to me, I kind of get what he's talking about. And so I kind of understand it. So we understand it from a programming point of view. We understand it from the point of view of how it's working in the economy. We understand the way it works because we pay a lot of people in cryptocurrency around the world whenever they do work for us, because we have other people help us out too, obviously. You know, if I need a site built or I need something done, I'm not going to do it myself. I'm going to have somebody else do it. So we pay them in cryptocurrency. But a lot of places around the world are using cryptocurrencies all the time. We in the United States don't do it. I think we've gotten very comfortable with the dollar. We just don't feel like we need to. Guys like Warren Buffett and Jim Rogers and, you know, these kind of people, they're never going to learn the blockchain. They don't have to. I mean, they've already got all kinds of money. And most of the economists and the people that have written books and they have a fairly stable lifestyle are not going to learn something new. The only people who are going to learn something new is when they absolutely desperately have to, because their world's falling apart. And that's what's going to be happening here very soon. People are going to be having to learn something new. And of course, cryptocurrency will be something they're going to all be getting very well when they see, you know, a little bit of stimulus check. But that stimulus check doesn't go very far because so much money's been printed and everything starts inflating in prices because more and more money gets dumped into the system. So I think people in other parts of the world where the currency is not as strong as the US dollar are going to be forced to learn about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And I think that you're going to see that happen here. So yes, Bitcoin, I think, definitely has a great chance of going up much, much higher, along with a lot of other altcoins. Because the digital money is the money that has as, and let me wrap back up here just a little bit, because I want to talk about what money really is. And what money really is a third party trust, a third party that you can trust with your money. So if I put money in Wells Fargo, I trust the money that I put into Wells Fargo isn't going to be taken. Wells Fargo is going to be pretty secure with my money. And Wells Fargo is also going to be pretty accurate with how my money's spent. If I spend $1 here, they're not going to let me double spend it someplace else. They're going to keep, there's going to be an accounting system there. Of course, Wells Fargo, I can pretty much rely on. I can't rely on them for everything, but I can rely that up to the FDIC, I don't know how much that money is right now, but that the money's going to be safe and that they're probably not going to take much more than they're supposed to take. I mean, every now and then you get an overdraft and you wonder where it came from. But by and large, they're a trusted third party. The Federal Reserve has been a lender of last resort for the U.S. government. They're a trusted third party. We use them as a third party. And it's interesting, a lot of people think that the Federal Reserve's European bankers, and possible, because I was thinking the other day about J.P. Morgan, John Pierpont Morgan, and the House of Morgan, how in times of crises, before the Federal Reserve System, he was a private citizen that was actually lending money to the U.S. government. I think he made his money in insurance by insuring shipping overseas. So if a ship loaded up in Europe and came to the United States, he insured the contents of that ship. I'm not sure. Either he was in the shipping business or he was in the insurance business, insuring those shipping, but he became very wealthy. He was backed by European bankers. I believe one of the families that backed him was the Rothschild family. And then he became a lender to the U.S. government when the U.S. government got in trouble. So by that connection, I can understand how people make the connection to the European families being the lenders that we use as last resort, or our lenders that are a trusted third party being the Federal Reserve. And maybe because of that connection. I don't know or not. And I'm not saying that is, because I don't know. I mean, it's never been audited and nobody knows. But anyway, that's kind of what a lot of people think. So we will have to, and of course with Bitcoin, the trusted party are the miners. We're going to have to reset this third party, trusted third party that we use now as banks. Because in the future, I don't believe the banks are going to play the role that they play today, because the banks are not going to be as trusted because the money is not going to have as much value. So will we use the blockchain, and how will the blockchain be used? I mean, I do think that the U.S. government's going over to digital currency. The first stimulus, bill that they wrote did have something about a digital wallet for the receiving of the stimulus check, and then they took it out. So I believe that we are going over to some sort of digital currency with the U.S. currency, but are the banks still the trusted third party, or do they set up a third party? Kind of like what Zuckerberg is doing with his cryptocurrency, sets up this trusted third party, which is a group, I think in Switzerland or wherever it was, that they're the ones that are kind of overseeing or managing the blocks that are being manufactured on the blockchain. How we do that, I don't know, but I do believe we're going to that system. How does that affect Bitcoin? I don't think it affects it at all. How does that affect altcoins? I don't think it affects it at all, because they're all going to be running together. And it's going to be a little bit about, like, you know, what you want to use. Obviously, if the U.S. currency goes digital and they end up choosing somebody as the creator for the blockchain, or the validators for the blockchain, does all the debt become digitized too, and as the amounts become unlimited like they are now? Well, if that's the case, I don't believe that as many people will use that digital currency as will use Bitcoins, because Bitcoin is a limited 21 million. It cannot change. It's written in code. It's thought out, and it's never going to change. Whereas the U.S. dollar, they have never ever put a cap on it. Then we'll never put a cap on how much U.S. money can be created. And because of pandemics like this, and because of the of technology and the continuing contraction of jobs because of technology, they have continued to inflate this currency to where it's worth very, very little. Like Weimar Germany prior to World War II the money was worthless. So I believe that's kind of what's going to happen. You're going to see this, everything going to digital currency, and the digital currencies are all going to be running together at the same time. And then I believe that they will all have a place. They will all have some use. For instance, Monero may be a privacy coin. Bitcoin may be more of a coin for store of value. Ethereum will be the smart contract coin, where you can put a smart contract on it. You know, we have a coin called the Challenge application. That's going to be a geolocation coin. Every coin is going to have some feature or some value to it that will make it so this is what that coin does, and this is what it's going to be used for. Money is going to get more specific, more digital, and more programmable. And I believe that's going to be the future. You know, right now it's going to be Bitcoin, and in the future it's going to transcend into others. But the biggest hurdle we're going through right now is just the fact that people have never been forced to have to investigate Bitcoin, because they've always just felt too comfortable with the US dollar, and they felt too comfortable with their banking system as it is today. Well, if this pandemic changes anything, and it is going to change a lot, I believe that's going to change. I think people are going to have to start investigating cryptocurrencies, and they're going to have to start investigating hedging with that. And you just can't do the old let's just buy gold game, because you buy an ounce of gold and you have to go down here to the restaurant or go down to the grocery store and buy a loaf of bread. What are you going to do? You're going to get the pocket knife out and shave off a few shavings of gold and go down and buy your loaf of bread? What happens if somebody needs to be paid? Let's say you want to order something on Amazon. How are you going to pay for it with gold? What are you going to do? You're going to ship Bezos a little bit of gold, shave a little bit of the gold off your gold brick there and send it off. No, it's just not digital. It does not work in the internet, this internet age. So you just can't play that easy game. I mean, that's the path of least resistance. I'm just going to buy gold, or I'm just going to buy silver, and I'm not going to deal with this digital money thing. It just all sounds too understandable to me. I've dealt with enough people now, talked to enough people to know when you start talking. And I used to make these videos. If you go back and watch my videos a long time ago, every now and then I put a coding video up. In fact, I actually did a video of how to write a smart contract on EOS one time, and I think it got one of the lowest viewed videos I'd ever made because nobody really cared to watch it, because nobody really cares about that stuff, because it's like watching somebody do math problems. So it's very uninteresting. Nobody wants to sit down and figure it out. And I think that's what everybody thinks about digital currency. I don't want to sit down and figure out how to understand a digital currency. I don't want to think about what a miner is. I don't want to think what an algorithm is. I don't want to think about how blocks are built and how you have to write a smart contract on Ethereum and what Ether is and how you have to pay for it and then EOS and what are the block producers and who are they and how does that work and what are the daily rewards and all this and what's the RAM and CPU and all the other stuff. If you want to lose people, just start talking about that kind of stuff and they will be gone in a heartbeat. But if you just tell them, hey, buy some Bitcoin, it's going to go up in value. Buy some gold, it's going to go up in value. People will gravitate to those that kind of information because it's not something they have to really work on. It's like for me, I learned a couple languages. I'm not good at them, but I've worked on a couple languages, and it's like if I work on them every day, I get so I can converse in other languages. But if I don't keep that up, and I work on it for a little bit, and there's actually an app called Duolingo, which is very good. If you want to learn another language, Duolingo, I think, is the app that it's like $85 a year, and it'll teach you another language if you just mess with it every day for about 10, 15 minutes. And it's pretty easy. But I do for a while. I'll get pretty good at it for a while, and then I'll get so I can kind of, get so I can speak in a different language. And then if I blow it off for a while and don't do it, guess what? I forget it, and then I'm back to all over again. And I think that cryptocurrencies are like that. Like my son and I, cryptocurrencies are something that we enjoy. He's been a programmer for a long time. I always enjoyed programming because I enjoyed putting things on the internet. I always liked building something and then seeing it up on the internet. That's what I always liked doing. And then being able to make some changes and then, refreshing the page and there it is, there's the changes. That's what I enjoyed. I didn't actually enjoy anything else. And of course, so much today is just done from libraries anyway, and a lot of cutting and pasting and stuff like that. But people don't want to understand Bitcoin. In fact, a good friend of mine worked for Western Digital, was a very intelligent man. I asked him one time about Bitcoin. I said, have you thought about Bitcoin? And all he thought Bitcoin was that somebody had bought a whole bunch of gold, put it in a bank, and then just printed the Bitcoin or made those little coins that were our gold with a little digital imprint on them, and that called them Bitcoin, and that was Bitcoin. That's what he thought Bitcoin was. He didn't understand anything else about Bitcoin. But I think through this new pandemic, this new age of inflation, of stimulus, of quantitative easing, of creation of money, and giving people money to survive the months that it's going to take for this economy to get back, that we are going to be very much absorbed and involved with the cryptocurrencies because we will need them to exist. And I think people will start to understand them once they understand them. I think the main hurdle that's keeping this thing from going viral, that's keeping this thing from becoming mainstream, will be overcome, which is people's fear of understanding a cryptocurrency, people's fear of just understanding how to learn something new, and unlearning the way that your mind works as far as banks concerned. I think the biggest problem with understanding a cryptocurrency is you have to unlearn what you already know. You have to let go of this idea that the bank is in any system of money, that the bank is the you know it's the main piece of transaction is the bank. Everything goes through the bank. I get a check, it deposits in the bank. I pay somebody, it goes through the bank. I think that we got to unlearn that every time I do anything, that the first thing I think about is, when it comes to money, is the bank. You know, I check my accounts every day. You know, if I need to add some money into it, I add some money into it. Every time I pay for something, I got to get my card out and I got to get paid for it. I mean, every single day, there's not a day goes by that I'm not on a banking app or on a website that has my banking information. You know, my account information. So I think that's going to have to be unlearned. We're going to have to get away from that. Stop thinking that the banks have to be involved with every transaction. They don't. There's another way of doing this. It's called digital currencies. I think once we get that in our brain and understand that, hey, these are not that hard to use, that people will be a lot more, you know, it'll be a lot easier for people to understand and use those, and I think will be used a lot more. So that one hurdle will start to be overcome here very soon, especially with the halving coming up and the stimulus checks going out and the money creation because of this virus. I think that's going to force people into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. So hopefully I haven't lost too many people yet. And people start to understand that this is the future and it's going to be this way regardless of what you think or I think or what I want or what you want or what the government wants or what anybody else wants. This is just the way it is. It's a natural progression of things. It's like the internet. I mean, there's a lot of people back. I was around when the internet started getting to be very popular. Chose not to be on the internet. They decided that the internet they didn't want to learn it. They didn't need it. Their lives were running very well without it. They didn't have to have it, and they never got it. In fact, I remember having somebody that I know. I'm not even going to tell you who it is because not that I don't want to. It's just that I just don't even want to think about this person. But anyway, I know a person that they were given a brand new iPhone by somebody, and she had her iPhone out, and she was like showing it to us, and it was a gift, and she didn't know how to use it. She didn't even know how to turn it on. She didn't know how to answer a call, and she was like really frustrated with this thing and like, what do you do with it? And not wanting to even want to do anything with it. She didn't want to try to figure out how to turn it on. She didn't want to use it. And I can't even remember if she had a flip phone at the time or not, or another kind of phone, or if she was just going without any digital phone. I don't even recall. But anyway, the whole idea of a digital phone, especially an iPhone, was so distressful for her that she couldn't even want to turn it on, didn't want to learn it, didn't want to figure it out, didn't want to answer it, didn't want to do anything, just kind of wanted it to go away. In fact, I think she would have just thrown it away if she didn't realize that it had value, and that somebody else might want it, or somebody else would give her money for it. But I think the idea that this thing was given to her was just she was just kind of annoyed with it. It was just kind of an annoying thing. Well, that's been a number of years ago. I don't know where she's at now or what she's done with having a cell phone. But I knew people like that back in the day of the internet. They didn't want to be on the internet. But you know what? Guess what? They got left behind. And, if they never got on the internet and they're still not on the internet, who's getting hurt? They're getting hurt. Because the internet literally is, I got to get in my car tomorrow, make a drive someplace I've never been before. Guess what? I'm going to use my iPhone. All day long, I'm getting phone calls, text messages. Guess what? I'm using my iPhone. I get on applications. I check things, like you say, my banking apps, everything. It's all on my phone. Everything is on my phone. So if I didn't use it, it would severely disable me as far as the things I could get done in a day. And that's what people are going to do if they leave cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, and things like this behind. There's a guy out there, and you guys all know who he is, Peter Schiff. How that man can continue to live in this age and deny the usefulness of cryptocurrency is beyond me. I don't understand. I mean, he's a smart guy. I've followed him for a long time. In fact, I even followed his father for a while. I've been listening to Peter Schiff since the 80s. I think I even bought gold because of Peter Schiff. I'm not so sure I didn't buy gold from Peter Schiff's business a long time ago. But how he can deny a cryptocurrency, or how he can deny that this is not the future, is beyond my ability to comprehend. It just really is. I don't get people like that. I just don't understand them. And how they can sit there and say that it's useless and it's worthless and it doesn't mean anything and it's just a fad and it's just a trend and it's just a way for people to I don't know, to be dishonest. I don't know. I don't know how people do that. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I mean, but I'm immersed in it, and I don't understand how people can deny the usefulness of a Bitcoin or an Ethereum or an EOS or so many of the others that are out there. So anyway, Bitcoin, I believe very strongly will be going up. I see that it was over 7,000 a day. I think it's going to be over 10, 12, 15,000 here very soon. And it could be 20 really soon. And hopefully, I think the guy I listened to is Dash. I believe is a guy, Martin, I can't remember his name now, but I believe it's Dash. He's calling for 100 by the end of the year and 250 by the end of 220 or 221 or 222. I can't remember which one, but anyway, he's calling for $250,000 Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised if he's 100% correct. I think those are very good numbers, and I think those are numbers that I would tend to agree with. So anyway, gone on for a while, but I probably won't have a video up for a few days because I've got some other stuff going on. So anyway, watch Bitcoin. I believe it's going to have a little bit of a rally here very soon. It's getting close to May. Stimulus checks are going out. Money's being printed. The halving's coming up very soon. I know a lot of times when events like this happen, things tend to drop. And I saw it go down below 7,000. Now it's above 7,000. I'm not saying it's not going to drop back down in the $6,000 range, but it seems like it's got a pretty good floor at about 6,500. And it seems like it's always pops back up over 7,000. I haven't seen it go much into the 7,000, but I believe we're going to see some good stuff here very soon. So anyway, I will stop because I've probably gone on way, way, way too long. But like I say, I won't be on for a while. I'll probably be another week or two before I make a video. So anyway, I hope everybody has a wonderful time. Hope everybody stays safe. And I hope I hope things get started quickly. And I hope if you're struggling through this difficult time that you reach out for help. We live in a wonderful country for people to give help to other people. So don't suffer alone. Try to get some help. Try to get some help by contacting somebody close by. And and the other thing too, by all means, and I'm in that category too. I'm almost 60 years old. If you are older, try to be careful. I do believe that it's very dangerous for older people to be out and around people that could possibly have this virus. So especially if you've got health problems, you should be very careful and take care of yourself and don't do don't expose yourself to too much. I know there's a lot of people saying that it's not as bad as they say it is. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't made up my mind about that yet. But I do know that if you are in a vulnerable state, that you do need to be careful and do take care of yourself. So I hope people do that too. So I hope you're having a good time and you're getting through this all right. I think times will get better. And I definitely think there's going to be opportunities in the future. And I think Bitcoin will be one of them. So anyway, thanks for watching.